Hey everyone, this is your OG, and this is another Godforge video. We are only 24 hours out from having spent a full 7 days in Godforge in the game, and we have an unknown, untalked about hero that will break the Fafnir level 151 fight for you. In the unlimited damage fight against Fafnir, this individual is unmatched. This might be Godforge's version of Trunda, okay? You are not going to want to miss this because we only have 2 weeks left until the next wave of alpha, and you want to know who is going to put you in the top 50 or the top 100 against Fafnir. Your OG was in the top 40. Or the top 50, I should say, with a 95 million point or damage run. So you are going to want to see this. Without further ado, let's optimize. All right, so we are going to start this off just with watching a quick couple minutes from my live stream, just to preface where this idea came from.
Hey everyone, this is your OG and I'm back. It's about 2:25. Gave you guys all some time to jump in. Talked a little bit about what I'm going to be doing in the Discord server so people would have an idea why they might want to actually come listen to some guy with a beard talk about stuff in a basement on a game. Right? It's crazy. All right. I'm excited. I got some big stuff going for you right now. Ooh, tell you what. Let's get into it. All right. Some things that happened overnight. If you didn't catch it, if you like to sleep at night like all these other normal people out here, not me, I rocked it last night. You know what, I got all the way through past the dreaded 142 142, and I got all the way to 150. I even 2-starred 150 like a boss, and then I got to 151. Right, that's the big unlimited damage dealing boss. Fafnir, max it all out. So first run, I did 13 million. I was like, all right. I was like kind of punching him like this, rabbit punches, like, ooh. And I did 13 million. I was like, all right, respectable out the gate. I'm glad I just posted a score. I felt like maybe the worst thing that could happen is if like the first team I threw out is unkillable. They go for 2 days straight. I do billions of points, but I can't end the match because they're unkillable. So I don't know how that actually records a score. Crazy story. Damn, man, my buddy is still showing on the leaderboard for Hell Hades at 27 million. He's over 1.2 billion and is still running. So, like, it doesn't hit as a score until he ends it. But he's not going to die, so he's not going to end it. He's already in the top 10 in the game. Props to Dan, man. Look at, he just killed it. He got a Smash, Isis, Sphinx, Drac, I think, and he's got another one in there. But really a cool team, and he's pushed over 1 billion. He's in the 10-digit damage club. Only about 10 people, no more than 15 in that arena. Those are the folks fighting to get to Vegas in September for the big wave, where 30,000 folks, everyone's going to go ham at it. Dan, man, is looking like he wants to compete to get to Vegas. I'm proud of him. Hey, good on you, bro. We all worked, together in our little Discord chat, and we had some fun, and it was a good time. So here's where we're at. All right, so we did 95 million. Oh, I'm sorry, we did 13, then we did like 27-ish million in the second run. So that was nice. I was like, oh, we doubled our output. Good deal. And then I found Pandora. She's broken. She's straight broken. You're going to see. We'll see how it goes here. We got 95 million on my third try ever against Fafnir because I have Pandora on my team. And you'll see how crazy what she does. But I didn't have high enough accuracy on her. I had almost like no accuracy built on her. And I didn't even see that. And that's really the one thing she needs a lot of to go deep into the fight. It looks like over 50 million, like Fafnir's stats jump up, and then over 100 million, his stats jump up, and then I don't know. There's probably tiered levels where you see a bunch of the folks in the leaderboard fell off between 5 and 10 million after this threshold. So it's like, oh, it got harder, and then that killed you off. And that's good. So it's just not straight line, because these teams that are doing a billion would do a million billion if like not stopped, and that would just be silly. So I like that they continue to make it harder and harder and harder, so that ultimately you can't just run away forever. But some of the teams still are. Okay, so that is what we did. We've then since just been building and refining our team. So I had Heimdall, he's in the team. I had him in all like defense and like high, he had like 5k 6k defense, and it was great. He didn't die for like, he was the first one to die though in the thing, because he has intercept, so he takes like all the damage for the team, even though he's putting out like a million shields. So I've been considering whether to swap him with Isis, but he does on his basic transfer debuffs back to Fafnir, which is a really powerful thing. Pandora does it as well. And so what I did was I built Heimdall with good defense, 3k defense, really good res, 184 res, okay? I actually built him with a lot more res than that, but you'll see. He's got 158 initiative, so I want him to get to his ultimate fast, so he needs a lot of initiative, and do everything to get that divinity around, because his ultimate puts that big shield, big shield, big shield. It just keeps stacking up. He can put it on 2 or 3 times before Fafnir goes in one time, so he's stacking that. Now, I've done some tweaks to him with his imprint and everything like that. We're going to see how it works. This is the build for my man here, okay? He's got his weapon, World Splitter. This is Pangu's weapon from Tian faction, so you can see the little Tian symbol there. It is leveled all the way up to level 60, which means I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other copies of it. Each time you want to promote it up to the next level, you have to have an additional copy of it, so you have to farm like almost 6 copies, I would say, of it. You get the one, you're always wanting to watch like what are the stats for it, res, attack. That was what I wanted. I wanted defense, but res was good too, because like I said, I'm testing a theory that high levels of res. So premise this, let's describe accuracy and res in previous games and then here. So like Raid Shadow Legends, accuracy is a determiner as to whether you land your debuffs, disables, turn meter, all of that. It's like, here's the enemy has 200 res, you have 210 accuracy, you have a 97% chance to land your debuff or disable or turn meter every time. So that's the threshold, and you're looking to be just a bit above it, and it gives you that roughly 97% chance of success, which is great. 3% sucks a little, but it keeps it interesting. So that is how it worked in previous games. Here, accuracy and res in Godforge has a little bit different. It has, I should say, an additional layer to it. It does that too, right? It's the same exact component where you need more accuracy than the opponent's res to land debuffs and disables and turn meters. That is true. However, accuracy also has a determiner and res on weak and strong hits. So I'm wondering if it stops scaling. Like, what if I have 1,000 res? It is basically dispersing the energy of the hits so that they're not as impactful, not strong, so they're not going for extra damage, right? It does, I don't know, it's not going to stop him from doing any damage, but I built some things in to heal him and to heal the team, and also my hope is that Fafnir never gets to take a turn. That would be our perfect run. I'd probably have to manual it. I'm probably not going to do that because it'd be like hours of manualing. If I do it that way, like I just kind of want to like set it, build a few of the things properly on the team, and then put it on auto and watch, see how much damage it does. I could go manual, but I'm sorry. Like I don't think I have that left in me after about 7 days of no sleep and going hard. So I'm just gonna be honest with you. I built res to see if res like really high levels of res would make a difference, because on my 95 million run, I had buffs like 95 initiative up, speed up buffs from Aphrodite. So I took this Percival's imprint, increase this hero's resistance by 5% for every buff they are under. What if he has 200 buffs on him? That's 1,000% increase in his resistance. So, or he has a almost 200 resistance. 1,000% would be like 10x, or 100xing it. It would be like 1,800 res. We're gonna see. I think it might break it. I don't know if he'll take no damage, if it will. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see what it does, but this is the thing we're testing here, is Percival's. Well, one of the things we're testing here is Percival's imprint on him. Okay, then.
All right, so that was what basically initiated the idea. All right, so we're gonna go break down the team that crashed the game. Literally, it broke the game every time I tried after. So I never was able to get another run to complete for the 95 after the 95 million. I every attempt I would make would not be able to finish. So let me. Oh, there I am. All right, I'm here. Hey guys, so that was the starting point. We're gonna talk a little bit about resistance. I was using Percival's imprint on my Heimdall, and that's what got this conversation started. So we are going to talk a little bit about basically the resistance, what it might be able to do, and who I think could be an absolutely disgustingly broken damage dealer. And I'm going to give you all the numbers. I'm not just making it up. I'm not just saying, this is clickbaity and exciting, watch me. I think this is broken good. We'll see if it stays. There were a lot of bugs in the alpha wave 1, so we didn't really get to even test some things because they just broke it and we couldn't even record the result. But anyways, we are going to get into it all. But before we do, we need to explain some key differentiators in Godforge, specifically the speed versus divinity initiative systems, calling it speed versus spirit. Okay, it's kind of like your speed. Everyone's used to it. Turn meter being the first to go, but divinity has created such a wrinkle that it's very pivotal for us to understand this new innovation in order to be successful. Okay. So we are very familiar with the speed concept. The highest speed means you go first. Going first means you own a distinct advantage to prep the battlefield, disrupt the enemy teams, and basically impose your will on the way to victory. Having enough speed, usually it was 200 plus, then, in raid it got to be 300 plus, 400 plus, 500 plus, it got crazy. But basically, let's say having 200 plus speed lets you take 2 turns for every 1 turn that an enemy with 100 speed takes. This allows you to create unique stacking of damage and effects because you get to go 2 or 3 times for every 1 time that the opponent goes. And it lets you really, like I said, stack damage and stack these effects so that they overwhelm and dismantle the enemy's cohesion and tempo. With this kind of dynamic in place, the only thing left for you to do is to go farm the gear that basically gives you every last possible speed point, because that's all that matters. So you're just dying to get 1 more speed, 2 more speed, here, there. And that is not a fun grind. But you also sacrifice attack, crit hit chance, or crit rate, and accuracy in your builds because all you care about is speed. So your builds are all the same. They're all speed and then something else. So, and that's just always in the name of being faster than others. But this has changed in Godforge, okay? With the addition of a divinity or initiative system that runs parallel to your traditional speed-based turn system of these style of games, this is absolutely groundbreaking in its conceptual brilliance. we can now build up a stat known as initiative, okay? And it controls the gain rate of divinity. How fast do you gain your divinity, and therefore how fast can you use your ultimate? Previous games have us very well conditioned to think about a hero's kit in a very specific way. I get the first turn, I land either my A2 or my A3, and the big decision is which one do I start with, right? It sounds a lot like Raid. And then we sequence the follow-on moves in a way that controls the battle and maximizes speed to completion. With Godforge's divinity system, you can use your ultimate ability as soon as you have enough divinity to do so, regardless of your turn order speed. So you can build your damage dealer to do damage, rather than just be a faster, slightly less damaging build. Also, having teammates who boost your divinity now becomes more important even than boosting speed, as having your ultimate will let you take your turn before a faster opponent, as long as your team has the turn order. So all you have to do is build one fast hero. That hero's out in front, and while that hero has their turn, everyone on your team who has their ultimate can use it during their turn, and that's completely okay. So ultimate divinity is actually faster than speed because of that. If you have your ultimate, you can use it ahead of a faster person. So that's huge. This is a major mindset shift for us gamers, and I'm going to break down the simplest way for you to think about it. As you look at a kit in Godforge, right, we're going to grab a kit, and we're going to look at Aphrodite. Okay? As you look at a kit in a game, usually you would look at, okay, how fast do they need to be to get through my A2 and my A3 as many times as I can. And that's all you're really thinking about, is how can I use my abilities more often, because then that's more damage, more effects, everything. Okay? So that's our typical mindset coming in. But now, as we get into Godforge and we have a speed system and a divinity system, this is the way I think it's easiest for us to think about it, okay? Do I want this hero to use their core ability most or their ultimate most? If it's their core ability that adds the most value to their kit, then you build them with high speed, so they get around to their core ability faster. But if you want to get their ultimate more often, then forget about speed. Just build initiative. Over 200, I had one at 250. I had Aphrodite at 250, okay? And she had her ultimate constantly. Now, that was a bit of a bug, but between some initial divinity bumps I gave her, and if you put the weapon Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, on there, it gives you an initial divinity bump of almost, I think mine was only like level 2, and it was giving me 300 initial divinity. So fully maxed out, the Mjolnir basically puts it so you already have like more than half your divinity for your ultimate right when you start, like immediately. So that plus initiative up that she puts, which is a 40 or 30% or 20% bump to initiative. So she gets a 20% bump to her initiative. She's constantly putting out these buffs, and she's just getting her ultimate constantly. Just, it's always there. If I were to show you a run with from my 95 million, she literally is just ready to go. And every turn, I go, whoever I want to do, let me say. So the enemy goes, and then it's my turn. I use Aphrodite's ultimate, then I use my team member's turn, then I use Aphrodite's ultimate, then my team member's turn, and I do this just over and over and over. And so she gets 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 turns before Fafnir goes, okay? That's incredible. We're going to touch on why. Okay? So if you're looking at her kit here, her you're going to look at her core. Her core targets one of her allies, picks one member of her team, places speed up 2 and initiative up 2 on them. No big deal. You just buff somebody. All right, no big deal. Okay, and it grants her an extra turn. So she puts 2 buffs on someone and then says, basic, attack the enemy. And when she does, because they have those buffs on them, also join the attack. Then when she has her core available again, now it was broken in the alpha, she never got below a 5-turn cooldown, even though it scrolled down to 3 turns. had it been 3 turns like it should have been, holy crap. Like, she would have used her core every 3 turns and put another team member. So in 4 or 5 turns, when she used her basic, all 4 team members would come in on a group attack. It never stops because Fafnir doesn't take the buffs off you. I wound up building 70, 80, 90, 100 speed ups and initiative ups on each character on the team. You almost can't see. There's like plus 72 on the end of it, showing like all these buffs on there. And they don't come off because Fafnir does not have a way to reduce or to tick down your buffs. And if he does, he's going once for every 3 or 4 turns you are. He can't keep up with the amount of buffs that you're putting on. Okay? So, all right. So let's get back on track here. So you have starting divinity. Okay? You have a starting divinity level. Most heroes, it's 0, obviously. But when you get awakened to level 4, you get an initial divinity bump. Like 100, 150, 200, depending on the hero. So you start with that amount. Then you have, so that's helpful. Then you have a ultimate cost. The amount of divinity it takes that you have to reach for your ultimate to be usable. Your spirit has to rise up, So you get, so much initial divinity, and then every turn, how much initiative you have, plus your divinity gain is how you gain divinity towards using your ultimate. So let's say you have 100 initiative, then every turn, I believe, you're adding 100 initiative to your divinity meter. Plus, all of the heroes have a divinity gain rate. So and it's archetype specific. So hers is she gains divinity when 70 divinity when placing a buff on an ally. So she places 2 buffs on an ally on her core and then goes again. So she gets 140 divinity right off using her core. And she uses it 3 to 4, this one was messed up because she wasn't getting her cooldown, so it was every 5 turns. But she puts a lot of buffs. Like I'm saying, 70, 80, 90, 100 buffs before we reached a point where the game crashed, basically. That's the only thing. That's what stopped us. That's the reason I don't have a billion score or anything like that, is every time we would hit about 50 million, it would just start to slow down because there would be so much going on. I would go down to 1-time speed. I would put it on manual. I would do anything to try to keep the run from failing because of bugs, and it never worked. I crashed it every single time, which tells me this is probably pretty impressively strong. So you have your starting divinity, you have your ultimate cost, and then that's the amount you reach, and you can use your ultimate ability. Then you have your divinity growth rate, which is your initiative stat per turn plus your ultimate gain rate shown in your kit. Some heroes gain divinity by eliminating enemies, others from healing or placing buffs or debuffs. It's really about what do. They do it, they get divinity if they're being used in their appropriate use case. Understanding how each hero gains divinity, depending on their archetype, is imperative to knowing how to build them successfully. If you are having them do stuff and this thing over here is how they gain their divinity, then you got to go aligned with that, All right. Maxing your divinity, okay? You want to awaken your heroes to level 2 and level 4, which means either imprints for them or duplicates of them. You want either 2 duplicates or 4 duplicates to get. 2 duplicates gives you an initiative boost. So I think 15 or 20 initiative added to your initiative stat. And then the 4th awakening gives you that initial divinity bump. That makes it easier. You kind of come out the gate with, it's like if you already had speed towards your next turn. That's the way to look at it. Okay, what kind of gear? Eagle gear set is the one that gives you a plus 15% initiative for every 2-piece set. So I put a 6-piece set on, and that gives a 45% boost to your initiative stat. So if you have 100 initiative, you now have 145 initiative. So that's how that works. And helmets, the helmet and the boots are the gear pieces that have initiative as a main stat. You can't get them as a main. You can't get initiative as a main stat on any other piece of gear except for a helmet and the boots. Speed is boots and legs. So you can get speed on your legs, initiative on your boots, and speed is boots and legs. So if you trade one for initiative, you're always kind of making this decision: speed, initiative. Which way do I need to go? Here's what I'm telling you. If you ask yourself that question, do I want to use their core? Do I want to use their ultimate? Do I want to use their core? Do I want to use their ultimate? Which one is more important to me right now? That's how you choose. Build initiative, build speed. Speed gets you to your core. Divinity and initiative gets you to your ultimate. It doesn't help you at all with your core or your basic. Okay. So, basically, the helmets and the boots are the main stat. A tier 5 piece of gear, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of gear. Tier 5 maxes out at 60 initiative on it. So that's the most you can get is 60 on the helmet, 60 on the boots as main stats. So that's 120 initiative you can add, and not factoring in any substat. It's hard to guess how they'll roll up and all that. So you'll get some additional substat initiative, but just looking at the main initiative, you'll add 120 if you choose initiative boots and initiative helmet and max them out at level 16. So without figuring in any of the substats, you're at 265 initiative, okay? Just from a 6-piece eagle set and somebody with, decent, she has 100 initiative. That's very good, but most everybody is between 80 and 100. And so you're only off by maybe 10 to 15 if you're an uncommon or a common. So it's not the end of the world. You can still build very high initiative. As you can see, 265, 275 doesn't seem that crazy with substats. But the most important thing I was finding is that there's a threshold. More is not always better. My teams with 250 plus, when I had Aphrodite with 250 initiative on her, it just broke the game. She had her ultimate constantly, and she was putting so much out, and there was so much that her and Heimdall broke the game. Heimdall kept putting his ultimate out. I had like 180 initiative on him. He just kept putting out his massive shield constantly. And then he got to his core where he puts retaliate out and basically block, reflect damage out. So I looked at it and I realized that my team was putting out like something like 9 buffs every time they all went. And they were going 3 to 4 times before, sometimes more, because Pandora was stealing turn meter from Fafnir, which gives Fafnir like 1% healing, but I didn't even notice it. So Pandora was stealing turn meter from Fafnir, and he wasn't getting to get to his turn. And she steals divinity too. And then Aphrodite puts initiative down, or like steals divinity from him. So stealing divinity is the absolute key in the Fafnir fight. I found the easiest way to do this, thank you Dan Man and all my buddies there, is to take the Ame no Nuhuako weapon. It steals divinity, put it on all 5 of your heroes, and you will steal, I think each one steals like 5% divinity, so you're going to, or 5%? And it goes up to 10 or something. So you wind up stealing like 50% divinity every time your team attacks, and Fafnir never gets his ultimate. And then if you have Pandora disabling him, he never gets to take a turn either. So it's my MC Hammer, can't touch this, team build, team strat. All right, so we are, like I said, we're on Raven Pyro's website right now, showing you some of the characters, some of the folks that I used on my team. Aphrodite is like absolutely key to this team, although Shamash could probably do the same thing okay, but he doesn't. I don't think he buffs as quite as much as she does. Maybe he does. Zeus also has a joint attack on his ultimate, where hers is on her core, and then every time she uses her basic, it brings everyone in, so it happens more often. it's better. I would say Zeus is probably like number 3 in terms of the joint attack, where Shamash and Aphrodite are like 1, 2, and then Zeus is like 3 because he's a little bit more of a wave clearer. He keeps taking turns like over and over and just smashing people, which is great for the Golden Guardian, where you're trying to get as many hits as possible. But and I've seen a lot of Zeus Fafnir teams that are doing real well, but Aphrodite was a better pick in my opinion. And it went along with me testing this. How many buffs can I put on my team, and what will it do to our resistance? Okay? But who cares, right? Resistance? That's like the stat nobody wants to talk about. Nobody cares about resistance. I put on as much resistance as I have to, but you know I'm not excited about putting resistance on. I want to put attack. I want to put crit damage and crit, I want to watch it smash, right? I hear you. Well, we've got coming up at the end of this one, we have a resistance-based damage dealer. Tell me if you've heard that before. I've never heard of it. It's going to be, and not only is it a resistance-based damage dealer, I think it might be an absolutely unbelievable OP damage dealer. We're going to break down why I think that. All right. So looking at Aphrodite, we talked about her skills. She's a legendary hero from the Olympus faction. She's Eternal Affinity, which is nice. You avoid any negative affinity matchups, but during Fafnir, that doesn't matter. She is an Invoker archetype, so she's healing and a bad A buffer, and bad A buffer all the way. She's also Chaos Alliance, but that doesn't matter too much. She has good HP and res to start with, but you see that her speed and initiative at 102 and 100 is what makes her truly special. So you have this choice. Build her for speed or build her with spirit or divinity, you'd call it. It's kind of like the when your attack will happen versus your will to make it happen. That's speed versus divinity. That's the thing. Her 20% speed leader bonus is huge. So she has a speed bonus for being the leader. So if you put her in the lead, I kind of went back and forth between Heimdall's defense, 30% defense, and her... which actually Heimdall's defense made a big deal when we went for 95. But I also tried speed runs with her and seeing if did it get us 3, 4, 5 turns inside of Fafnir's. Did that make enough of a difference with Pandora's disables and putting out? Because the thing with Pandora is her ultimate chooses randomly one of the 7 disables, and 5 are good, 2 are not in terms of Fafnir. 2 do not stop him from attacking you. That's Confuse and Taunt. Taunt reduces your damage a little bit when you get attacked, but neither of them stop you from getting attacked by Fafnir because Confuse, he doesn't have any teammates, so he can't attack his teammates. So when you put Confused on a solo person, it does nothing. They still attack you. Kind of a little messy. I think you should attack yourself, but, that's to come. Anyway, so Confuse doesn't work, and Taunt doesn't work because Taunt literally makes them attack you for 25% less damage. So there's a little bit less damage, but I'm trying to keep him from attacking us at all. I don't want Taunt. So there's 2 buffs, or disables that I don't want Pandora's random choice to put. But I don't get just one shot. Like, I don't get, Pandora used her ultimate. Which one is it? Oh, no, he's going to get a turn. She goes like 3 or 4 times before Fafnir goes. So she has these disables, and I'm like, all right, let's get a stun. Let's get a petrify. Let's get a sleep. But then sleep didn't work right. So in the podcast, Dirk specifically said, yes, speed is not going to be, or sleep is not going to be like raid where you hit it and it falls off. Not going to happen like that. Guess what happened when I went in there? I hit it and it fell off immediately. And it sucked because I had some really cool sleep champions that I wanted to do some testing with, specifically Satyr, common champion with sleep, and Kanochi, an uncommon champion with sleep. She has an unbelievable kit for an uncommon. So I wanted to pair the 2 of them together because they each have about a 50% chance to put sleep on their core. And together, I thought maybe they could do a 100% chance to hold Fafnir under sleep. Why sleep over the other disables? Sleep in Godforge allows the enemy to take 30% more damage while under sleep. So I was like, shoot, I want to use sleep. I want to get him under sleep, but it didn't work right. So, Fateless, you got to fix that. But if sleep was the way to go. There's some cool champions at a very low level that you could build up that would be able to, with high enough accuracy, land sleep continuously. Now, there was some issues with disables on Fafnir, like he's not supposed to, or he gets a disable. His kit says something like he gets a disable and he does something with it, but it didn't seem like it all worked perfectly or all the time. And for instance, so like I was like, okay, freeze. I built Scotty and I used her in the team. The freeze didn't work. It fell off. Only Pandora, for whatever reason, could put the disables on and actually stop Fafnir from going. I tried using Hercules for his stun. Didn't work that well. And we're gonna get into some replacements here for these in case you don't have all the Legos. I collected 64 of the 67 heroes in the 7 days. I went all Pokemon on it and had to collect them all. The only 3 I didn't get were all legendary. I didn't get Horus, Shamash, to my dismay, who I wanted more than anyone. Didn't get those 2, and I didn't get Odin. I got Loki at level 150. He was like the reward for 150, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really like Loki that much. Mordred, god tier. Mordred was unreal. 100% AOE confuse on his core ability. That was my wave clearing control. Now Scotty is good. She's not 100% though. So just you're not gonna get 100% out of her like Mordred. So I liked Mordred better than Loki, to be honest with you, for control. But anyways, I am way off on a tangent here. So let us get back to Aphrodite. So if we're building her for speed, then we're looking at her basic and her core abilities, and we're saying, do we want to use this core the most? Target one ally, place these buffs, grant an extra turn, and do the joint ally attack. Do we want that to happen more? Or do we want attack all enemies, extends the duration of any of these buffs? This is, I think, how they got so crazy. Whenever she uses her ultimate, and like I said, every other opportunity for me to use an ultimate, it doesn't let you use her ultimate over and over and over and over again, thankfully, because that would be really broken. But between every hero's turn on my team, I used her ultimate. And that boosts, as you see here. All right, so this not only does it extend the duration of the buff, and Fafnir can't take the buff off, so it's just getting more buff. Now I had 1 on, now I'm 2. Now I'm 37, now I'm 79. So she did this 80 times in my 95 million run, because I had over 80 buffs of the speed up and the initiative up on some of my heroes that I could see. The UI I couldn't even see in the UI all the buffs. So she extends the buff. That is crazy and is going to factor in huge to what we're going to talk about at the end here. She increases the turn meter of the team and the divinity of allies by 20%. Okay, if she does that 5 times, they have their ultimate. 5 times. You have 5 members of your team. One goes, she does her ultimate. Another 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 goes, she does her ultimate. And now everyone has their ultimate. Then they use their ultimate. That's how it works. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. It's so broken. So 20%, right? The effect is doubled on allies that she's brought in on her joint ally attack with her core. So this is why on the first time I put it on Achilles, who has a triple hitter with bleed. Then the second time I put it on Drac, who has a double hitter with bleed. And then the next time I put it on Pandora, so that every time, she does her basic, she's stealing, I'll show you her kit after. And then I put it on Heimdall, and now everyone is being brought into the attack. Those buffs are not taken off of them, so I don't have to put that core on anyone again. So I almost, after I use my core on everyone, I could almost never shut it off and not use it again. I just use the basic and bring everyone in on the attacks, and then the ultimate to keep driving everybody's ultimates up faster. So the turn meter and divinity boost is 20%, but it's not. It's 40% if you're under these buffs, and everyone is. You are only needing to do this 3 times and everyone gets their ultimate. So it's just within a single turn, someone goes, she uses her ultimate. Someone goes, she uses her ultimate. Someone goes, she uses her ultimate, and they all have their ultimate. Almost twice per turn. It's crazy. She gains 70 divinity by putting a buff on an ally. Right? That's crazy. So she has always got her ultimate. And that's why. Her passive. Allies gain 2% turn meter when inflicting damage to an enemy. So, wow. Is Aphrodite crazy? The effect is doubled. So 4% turn meter when they hit. And they're going 3 to 4, sometimes 5 times before Fafnir because of this. It's nuts. Okay, so that is Aphrodite. We showed Heimdall. He's got some pretty good stuff. We'll just quickly cover him. He was providing us defense. You can go here on ravenpyros.com. You can look deeply into all of his stuff, but his core puts retaliate and intercept on all allies for 2 turns. That's 2 more buffs, and that results in a counterattack anytime Fafnir does hit us. Okay, the whole team counterattacks at him with their basics. That gives us turn meter, steals his divinity. It's all just synergistically compounding in a way that broke the game multiple times. Okay, so this is why we called this our MC Hammer can't touch this team, is because if done right, if it works, Pandora makes sure that Fafnir never gets to attack. Ever. Pretty crazy. But for the sake of argument, let's say that Fafnir does get to attack, okay? And now you have these 5 counterattacks all going out every time he does hit us. First off, Heimdall is putting up massive defensive shields and all this other stuff. And then I gave him, I was messing with imprints. I gave him ward for 2 turns. I gave him one that gave him a barrier for how much damage he did. I was just testing different imprints from different heroes to see which one would be really messed up. And that's when I got to Percival's, and I was like, oh, I'm going to put this on my defender, and he's never going to take a buff. Like, imagine 1,000 resistance and try to put anything on him. It's not going to work. So I was like, ooh, this is cool. Like, maybe we'll put Percival's imprint on everybody on the team, and they'll never take a buff or debuff. That would be cool. That I was working out that, like, because in the kit for Fafnir, as you read it, it talks about, like, he gets all these benefits if he lands Blaze on you, if he lands Vulnerable on you. So I was like, all right, we need to transfer those back to him so that he has Vulnerable on him and Blaze on him. But then if you put Blaze on him, he, like, actually benefits from it. If you put Freeze on him, he kind of benefits a little bit, which is weird. I think Freeze should, like, not provide any benefit to him at all, but it gave him, like, a 1% heal. It didn't matter. It was negligent, so it was like negligible, so it didn't mean anything. But the disables and how consistently they worked was the only challenge with this build. There were times when I would have a stun on and it would just disappear, and it would be weird. It'd be like, wait, I have a stun. I have 2 stuns. And that's the other thing. Pandora can land multiple disables in a single round before he goes, and then when he goes, he strips the disables off of him. But you can have 4 and 5 disables on him. That's why I knew I was getting 4 and 5 turns before he did, is because Pandora had put a Petrify, a stun. There's no advantage to that. I wish I could have spread them out evenly over his turns, and it would have been easier or better, but I couldn't. So Heimdall, I played with having very high defense at first. That actually worked better. And then I put him into, you saw the set. I was trying to mess with the shrine set for healing. It wasn't good enough. It was a harder set to get, so I wasn't getting the good pieces. So I put him back in his defense set, in his defense kit with his like 5 or 6K defense. And that I didn't put him in bear because it's like it goes up to 15%. But honestly, it's interesting. So the animal sets, like, so defense, like a defender set, you get 15, 30, 45% defense. So I'm like, okay, like we'll go with a 30% 4-piece defense and a two-piece bear where you get 15, so that's 55% max defense. But even though it's 55% max defense, it's only 41% guaranteed defense. Stop. Stop it. Stop whining at me. I'm doing work. Knock it off. Puppies are being complainers. So, you're throwing me off. I can't keep track of where I am. Go lay down. I'm not kidding. Don't keep complaining to me while I'm in the middle of working. Go on. So, for the sake of argument, let's say that Fafnir does get to attack. He gets that we have counterattacks on here from the Heimdall, so he's going to intercept all the damage and take it on him, and everyone's gonna retaliate. So it protects your team. That's really nice. He puts defense up 2, which is a 40% defense boost, which helps him because he's got 5k defense. So that's nice. He places a shield that's 400% of his defense. So this is also why having 5 or 6k defense is really nice. He then, in addition, puts protect 2, so he takes 30% less damage, and because it's like an ally protection. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buffs from him, 2 buffs from Aphrodite, okay? And then here's the only other thing. So he gains divinity when an ally is attacked by the enemy, so that doesn't work super great, but it doesn't matter because Aphrodite is pumping his ultimate all the time. Allies under any buff, there's a few of them, a few buffs, have a 30% chance to reflect Blaze. So we literally are protecting ourselves constantly. So that's Heimdall. That's why we were using him. There is definitely a case for Isis as a smash as a defensive damage dealer, things like that. But that's who we went with. Sphinx is another good option. Can give. She puts Vanish on the whole team so that the only person you can target is her. And she has unkillable, so she goes down to 1% health and can't be killed. So if you have heals, you can heal her back up or extend her buff because Fafnir doesn't take it off. So that's another way. That's Damman has Sphinx in his team. He created an unkillable comp that way. So that's another way. He has Shamash too, who has a joint attack. Isis is helpful if you want to swap out for Heimdall. And then let's get to one of the key pieces was Pandora. So Pandora, her basic attacks twice, 2 enemies, so it attacks twice. Each chance has a 30%, I think it scrolls up to 50% chance to steal a random buff. Fafnir almost never has buffs on him, so it's not the end of the world. But if he did, that'd be great. Isis has a similar similar basic where she steals a buff. This is really good in wave content like 142 or when you are going against somebody like Heimdall or Isis who puts a lot of buffs up. If you don't have someone who can strip the buffs off, Dagonet does it on his ultimate, but if you don't, like, you're in a lot of trouble. You won't beat it. Like they scale up quickly and you just get behind the curve and you can't catch up. You can't beat it. And then basically, yeah, so the big deal is her basic's not as much of a big deal because Fafnir really rarely has buffs on him. But here's what it is. Her core makes up for it, okay? Each time she uses her core ability, she has a 40%, which I think scrolls up to 60% chance to steal divinity from Fafnir. 50 divinity, okay? That, in a combination with all the other divinity steals and divinity boosts that we have going on, is keeping Fafnir from ever getting his ultimate. Then her core is keeping him from ever getting his basic or his core. So we are locking him out of all of his abilities using Pandora. Here's how she does it. On her core, attacks 2 enemies at random. Each hit has that 60% chance to steal divinity. So building her for speed is good because she will steal divinity and that helps keep him from getting his ultimate. Her ultimate, which Aphrodite is helping her get every 2 to 3 times before Fafnir does, attacks all enemies with a 75% chance that scrolls to 100% chance to place a random disable for 1 turn. And like I said, it's one of the 7 disables. It will pick one of them. And for whatever reason, she's like the only hero that actually lands them on Fafnir with the bugs we've been dealing with and everything. Scotty landed the freezes, but they didn't stay on. The sleeps were landed, but they didn't stay on. It was weird. Even Hercules' stun didn't really work the way I think it's supposed to. For whatever reason, though, when Pandora put disables on and you got one of the 5 that works and skips a turn, Fafnir didn't take a turn for my 95 million run. He didn't take a turn for like 20 turns. Like, I was just on a run. But then the buffs started adding up and the game started like slowing down and crashing. And what happens is it gets to a point where it has too much information to like think through for each move. Like, I have 70 different or 150 different buffs to consider and all these different mechanics. And so the logic of the code of the game just basically can't handle it. And so what it has as a fail safe, I found, is it waits a certain amount of time, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds, and then it bypasses. So it will just skip your turn. It will skip your teammate. Like, so every time Aphrodite would start coming up, it would sit there and kind of like lag and delay and delay and delay and delay and delay, and then it would move forward. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's still going. But she wouldn't take her turn. It would just skip past her right to the next person. So for Heimdall, for her, they kept getting their turns just like skipped, and then all of a sudden now we don't have shields on. Now, like, it just broke us apart because the game stopped being able to handle all of what we were giving it. So that's why I noticed between about 50 and 75 million we'd been in the fight long enough, and the number of buffs we put up broke it. It crashed the game. It physically crashed the game several times. Like, the game closed out and I had to open it back up. But usually it would just slow down to a point where I'm like, I'm wasting 2 hours watching this and it's not doing anything. And I don't think that I should just sit here and I just close out of it. And there needs, like, I hope Fateless hears this for probably maybe not for wave 2, but absolutely for the competition wave, they have to fix this. They need to put a button in that lets you end the fight, because you can't record a score unless you end the fight, or create a way to record your score, but if you don't end the fight, it doesn't record. So if you have an unkillable team, like Dan Man's team is still running and the game, and we're out of the alpha, he's still running. He's not. We all got kicked out of the alpha, but it would still be running, and so he can't record the score because of that. So there needs to be some end fight button put in that allows you to capture the score at that point and just submit a score. Because I guarantee you there was a lot of people not on the leaderboard who had massive scores and they just couldn't get them to post. So that's something for a big competition wave that you can't have. People are going to get so angry if they can't compete fairly because they are doing too well. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I built too good of a comp for a team and it broke it. And so, ironically enough, in like the last 8 hours, I scaled back Aphrodite's speed and initiative and gave her speed. And it started to work a little better because she wasn't putting out so many buffs as often. So it's like I had to make her worse for the team to actually work because she was too broken. And Heimdall was too broken. It was too broken in the first run through, or at first, like after I did the 95 million, and 95, I was like lucky that it let me get that deep in. It stopped at 70 some million. It stopped working right. And then I got wiped. My team got wiped out at 82 million, except for Drac. Dracula soloed Fafnir for 13 million by himself, just like, I will not go down. Like, it was heroic. He did an extra 13 million damage by himself to get us to 95. I thought he was going to bring us over 100 million, and I was like cheering. I'm like, yeah! But here was the sad thing about that. I had put a imprint on Dracula. I was testing something. I had taken Quetzalcoatl, an absolutely amazing, legendary invoker who's good for a Fafnir team. She buffs you up as well with like increased attack and stuff like that. I sacrificed her to put her imprint on Dracula. What is her imprint? Well, let's just look at that real quick. And I wanted this to work so bad. So, Quetzalcoatl has Age of Rebirth as her passive. When the hero is defeated, revives all allies with 25%. This is the imprint I had. Quetzalcoatl does it with 50%, but imprints are usually half. So this was on Drac at the time. Hero is defeated, revives all allies with 25% HP, and increases their initiative, like we needed that, by 5%, stacking up 3 times. And that, I think, is permanent initiative increases, so you could almost try to build it so that Drac dies and comes back, and revives the team, and then you have Isis and she revives Drac. You could do that 3 times if you're really really ballsy, and max out your initiative increase. I think that 15% will like stay. It's not just a temporary increase. But Drac would have died, brought everyone back. Heimdall, Aphrodite, Pandora, and Achilles was my damage dealer, or Draca was Achilles was my other damage dealer. So it would have brought everyone back. Fafnir still would have had the bleeds all over him, and we would have gone for another, whatever, at least 5 million and gotten over 100 million. But it didn't revive Drac. It didn't revive his whole team. So it just, the imprint didn't work. And in the alpha, imprints were hit or miss. I used to have to basically go into my hero screen, take their weapon, take it off, put it back on, then check their abilities and see if the second passive image or icon came in. That means it was working. But then it still didn't always seem like it was working in the fight. Like, I was like, dang, we're supposed to be getting like this massive this or that, and it just wouldn't seem like it was actually applied. So there's definitely some bugs and some things to fix on Fateless's side, but conceptually, like theoretically, this could work really well. Okay, so Quetzalcoatl, that, putting that imprint on Drac would have been just bonkers, but didn't work. A lot of things I tried that theoretically looked like they should work, didn't work, or didn't work the way they wanted. You would have expected them to, but there was a lot of bugs, a lot of things they were working through, so I understand. Okay, so we talked about Pandora. We talked about, so the 7 possible disables. We'll go into the status effects. We'll show you the 7 possible disables right here. Confuse, Despair, Freeze. Morph isn't in the alpha, so it's just ignore Morph. It's complex, and honestly, I don't know. Some of the stuff they ran out in alpha was complex, and it broke and didn't work. So to move to more complex stuff right now, I don't think they will. I don't think we're going to see Morph until global launch at least, because it's a kind of complex feature in terms of changing your character into something else, having a new set of skills when they're changed, all of that. So Confuse is very powerful in the wave clearing, but it does not do anything for you against Fafnir. Same with Taunt. Then all you have is Stun, Despair, Freeze, Petrify, and Sleep. So 5 out of 7 is not bad. It's like a 71% chance on Pandora to land the right disable, but she gets 3 or 4 tries before Fafnir goes again. So you wind up with a 99% chance of putting, if the game doesn't skip her and just, bypass like it was when it was getting stopped up, then she has a 99% chance to apply a disable that will skip his turn. And this is the biggest piece of our MC Hammer Can't Touch Us team, is that Fafnir never gets to go. It didn't work like that in the alpha. That's why I'm not showing you the gameplay of that. It broke the game too quick and didn't play out. Okay. So then, that's Pandora, okay? And then we get to our damage dealers, okay? So I had Dracula, and I had, where is he? Achilles. Achilles' kit did not work exactly the way I think it's supposed to. His basic has a 50% chance to, scrolls up to 75% chance to place 3 stacks of bleed. The visual, the UI, only ever showed him placing 1 stack of bleed. So I don't think he actually landed 3 stack of bleed, but that's why I had him in this position, because nobody else lands 3 stacks of bleed on their basic. No one. So he's the best possible in that. His core gives him attack up 2, 40% increase on attack, and sharpen up 2, which helps him with crit damage. So all that's just adding to the damage, but who cares? ultimately, all that matters is that he puts the most number of bleeds. He needs accuracy, and that's it. I mean, you could put all the attack you want, and that will help with damage, but all you need is to land the bleed. And then land 10 bleeds, and then stay alive, and let the bleeds do all the work. So that is, and Drac is similar. He puts 2 bleeds on his basic, and then on his core, he puts bleeds on everyone, on his team and everything, and then on his ultimate, he strips all those bleeds off for a damage multiplier that's based on the number of bleeds. I don't know if Drac's ultimate was working right, because I saw a few times where at the end of when Fafnir takes his turn, all the bleed debuffs show. Like they go, choof, 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 choof. And I counted more than 30 one time, so I don't know that Drac actually was stripping them off and getting the damage multiplier. I think they just stayed on Fafnir. Like, I don't think everything worked exactly the way it was supposed to in everyone's kits, but Drac is super powerful as a damage dealer, okay? And so, you know, like I said, I use Aphrodite. She's the first one to go. Her core comes up, and I choose Achilles. And then I go basic hit on Fafnir. And then Achilles comes in on me with me. Boom, we land the first bleed, because I want to land bleeds as soon as possible. They're not going to fall off. I just need to get 10 as quick as possible. And then I'm pretty sure there's just those 10 just stay indefinitely. Or I don't know what happens if you get 15, 30, 50 bleeds. We haven't seen any of that. Dirk mentioned there'd be a multiplier, like a massive multiplier for getting a full 10 stack of bleeds. I didn't really see it. I mean, I wiped out Fafnir pretty quick with bleeds. It's powerful, but at the same time, I don't know if it exactly worked perfectly. I don't know. We'll see. As we get into Wave 2, we'll test some more. But that's what she does, is puts her core on every one of the teammates over time, and then when she does her basic, they all join in for an attack, and this just cycles them through their skills so much faster. Okay, and then, let's see. So that was our damage dealers. The buffs don't fall off. So she does her basic attack. Everyone joins in. Then we easily put 10 plus bleeds per turn. And with some turns, watching dozens and dozens of bleeds land. Both Drac and Achilles have an ultimate with a multiplier that scales off the number of bleeds that are on the enemy, right? So this helped produce my 95 million damage team, but I wasn't satisfied. So I went hunting for a hero no one would think was worthy, a hero like me. Before we reveal who that was, though, or who that is, though, I want to share a few backup suggestions for Pandora, Heimdall, and the Bleed team. Aphrodite's hard to replace here, but Zeus and Smash are the only close seconds, as they also have a joint attack mechanic. Heimdall's pretty hard to replace, but Isis can do the job as well. And other than that, you'll have to get creative with barriers and shields. Lady Zoc is another bleed. She puts bleeds on her basic. Minotaur puts bleeds on his basic. Annie has a stun on his core and a stalwart and retaliate buffs on his ultimate. Voldkalok puts 2 stacks of bleed on his basic. He locks core ability on his core. So if that works on Fafnir, then Fafnir doesn't use his core ability. It was hit or miss. I tried it. It didn't always lock out. So if it worked, it was great, but it didn't always work. There is another hero, though, that has lock core and lock ultimate. We're going to talk about that in a second here. You're not going to want to miss that guy. He's a secret that you need to know about. So Voldkalok, Minotaur, these are all interesting possibilities. Voldkalok, not only does he put 2 stacks of bleed on his basic, not only does he lock the core ability on his core, but he has a 75% chance to place Despair, one of the disables, good disables, and that helps to keep Fafnir from going. He's only at a 75%, but again, with 3 chances, that is a 98% chance. All right. Lastly, there's 2 unexpected sleep heroes that I was really excited I wanted to try with Satyr and Kunoichi. They each have about a 50% chance to play sleep, so together it would like be about a 100% chance. But sleep didn't work right. Like I said, it kept falling off when we hit him. So that didn't work out. I also tried Scotty. Freeze, for some reason, just didn't work as well as it should have. So I finally got to this character right here, and I'll tell you, this guy is, I swear he's made for this fight. He's a rare Asag, okay? His ultimate, I'm going to start at the bottom and work up. His ultimate is AoE, has a 50%, goes up to 75% chance to place Petrify on the target for 1 turn. 3 turns, 3 attempts at that is a 98% chance, okay? So he is pretty much guaranteed in 3 attempts to land one of his Petrifies and keep the Fafnir from going, okay? That's the key. If Fafnir never gets a turn, you have an untouchable team, never mind an unkillable team. All right? So Asag is crazy. Then on his basic, he attacks an enemy. If it's under Petrify, he does 50% more damage. What? Yes. 50% more damage, and he's tanky too. His core, he attacks one enemy. If it's critical, he heals for 25% of the damage. That's useful in this fight, but doesn't look like Fafnir's going to hit us much. Okay, so Asag is a super OP, pretty much unknown member that you could use to help land the disables and have your own Can't Touch Me MC Hammer team. You don't even need Heimdall for defense if this works 100% because you're not going to take any attacks. So then you can really just have Drac, Achilles, and the last damage dealer that we're going to talk about at the end, our Trunda impersonator. The truly OP broken damage dealer that you've never thought of. Okay, so the grotesque golem was just sitting here quietly hiding in plain sight, but your OG saw the writing on his chest, and we knew what we needed to do with him. Now let's talk about the stats for these rolls real quick. Okay, so Aphrodite, high initiative, high speed. I also made sure she had HP and res so she could keep going without interruption. Heimdall, I built him with really high D, 5-6K, and that worked pretty well. But then I re-geared him with like 200 initiative, and it broke the game so bad I couldn't even get a run to stop lagging and crashing. Pandora, your control hero, needs really high accuracy. I had 175 plus on them. And then speed or initiative, or both, depending on what you want, if them to use their core more or their ultimate more. In this case, I tried to build her over 175 with each. And then the rest is HP, tankiness. Damage dealers obviously need attack, but really they need accuracy. That's the biggest thing. Fafnir does not have mend, so he can't take the bleeds off himself at any point. And Drac and Achilles strip bleeds for damage, but I don't know. They're not sure if it worked exactly right. And so it's hard to calculate. So now we are on to the main event. All right, this is our Trunda impersonator. This is the individual that I think is absolutely nuts, and he's in plain sight, and I don't think too many folks caught it. You have to think, though, like Fateless, right? They're disrupting a market, new game. They need to bring something special. So I think this might be something they wanted us to find. This might be the craziest damage dealer I've ever seen, like hands down. And I think his kit is so messed up that 1 trillion damage is not impossible. 1 trillion damage by him alone is not impossible. You're laughing at me. I'm going to show you the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you the numbers and the calculations. You're going to be like, what in the F? So, here we go. Mr. Percival himself, the faithful knight, okay? His purple feathers. Now, basically, you're going to have a similar team to me, but or something like that. But the way this guy works, he has great HP, 2385, good defense, 105, average speed and initiative, but high res, 78, right? Okay. And then we get into his kit. I know I sound crazy, but you got to stay with me on this one, okay? We get to his kit. His basic attacks one enemy, but look at those multipliers. HP, attack, and res? Oh, you better believe it, sir. His damage is based on res. Are you already following me to where I'm headed? I think you might be. And he will ignore 20% of the target's defense if he's attacking Chaos. Now, Fafnir is not a Chaos or Order, unfortunately, but I think you might see where I'm headed. His core puts 2 buffs on himself. One of which, Res Up, gives him 40% more resistance. The other one, Radiance, reflects damage back on Fafnir. He has a 50% scrolled up, 75% chance to stun. if that works right, 3 turns, 75, you don't even need Pandora or Asag or Volkalok or any of the ones that have, or Petrify or anything like that, Quetzalcoatl. You don't need it. He will stun and keep Fafnir. Like, he might be able to solo Fafnir. Stunning him? Well, not solo him. Maybe Aphrodite and Percival could probably take Fafnir for 1 billion points. 1 billion damage. Easy. Okay? So then he also, here's his ultimate. Removes all debuffs and disables, right? So Fafnir puts Blaze and Vulnerable, and he strips him. I swear to God, his kit is made for Fafnir. He attacks one enemy, and he still has 200% res as part of his multipliers. If no debuffs were removed, because he has super high res and doesn't get any debuffs on him, he places Retaliate and Ward. 2 more buffs! And Ward blocks all damage, and Retaliate lets him attack more with his 200% res multiplier. He gains Divinity, 50 Divinity, when he resists a debuff. I'm going to let you think about how often he might resist a debuff as we get into his passive, which we showed you. Increase this hero's resistance by 10% for each buff they are under. Now, your OG is crazy. I took Percival. I had more copies of Percival, so I took 1 copy of Percival, and I extracted his imprint, and I put it on a weapon, and I gave it to him. So he had 15%, if it was working right, 15% resistance increase per buff. Per buff, okay? That is so crazy, I had to get out my Excel spreadsheet. And here we go. I'm going to break down the numbers for you, and in order to do that, I've just got to take myself out of here. So we're going to start up here at the Percival damage calculator, okay? So you see his basic, core, and his ultimate, all HP focused, okay? So he has, let's say, 40,000 HP. Not unreachable HP, not crazy. He has an 8% multiplier on his basic and a 10% multiplier to HP on his ultimate, okay? His core puts 2 buffs on him, so I didn't even include it. It's not a damage dealing ability. So you're just looking at damage from his basic and from his ultimate. So keep that in mind. He only does the damage to like on 2 of his 3 moves. So let's say we are trying to figure out what is the base amount of res. Oh no, where's my base amount of res? Let me see where my res calculator is. Oh, here we go. How did I not? Is it? Oh, I didn't include it here, so I'll just have to bring it over right here and do like this, okay? We'll go ghetto, sorry. This is the res calculator. Come on now. All right, this is the res calculator that I'm using for this purpose. So here is my build, and here is the max build I think can be done. So Percival has 78 base resistance, and that's 100% of the max possible. I put him in a 4-piece dragon set, gives him 45 res. That's the 4-piece dragon set bonus, so that's 100%. I gave him a 2-piece invoker bonus, so that's 25 res. His main helmet had res as the main stat. It was only like tier 3, so it was a 45 instead of a 60 as a max res when I put it up to level 16. So I was only 75% of the max there and 50% of the max on the chest piece. I didn't get any substats at all for res, okay? Which was weird, but I imagine there'd be another 15 to 20 res possible if you got substats of res. I put the World Splitter weapon on him, and it gave him 70 res, as well as a bonus for, it's like a 12% increase of your stats. So basically he gets 70 res as the flat stat on that weapon. That brings his res up to 313, and then a 12% boost on that gives him 351 resistance. I would run him with either a Sphinx or an Isis to get their leader bonus, resistance leader bonus of 60 or 70. That would give us 411. I had 411 res out of 471 possible res. So I missed on 60 res between having tier 5 gear, substats, and things like that. Now, the dragon, the 2-piece gear dragon set gives you 1% res stack every turn, stacking up to 15%. So at 1%, it's 415, and at 15%, it's 472. Okay, so that's your min max on once you get it fully up to 15. So then he also puts res up to 40% on himself. Okay, so that takes his min of 415 up to 581, or his max of 472 up to a res of 661. So that is the I went with 660 as the base res that we brought to the fight. Okay, now how many buffs? Well, I did it off the number of turns. Okay, each turn I calculated that he places 4 buffs on him, well, 2 on his core, and then 2 more if he doesn't strip anything on his ultimate. So every turn he can put 4 buffs on himself and receive 7 from the team. Every turn is 11 buffs. Here I did if he gets the 15% or if he only gets 10% and he can't put his own imprint on himself. I kind of showed you both. The res per buff, if he's got, after 1 turn, he gets 100 res bump from the 11 buffs. And now his res went from 660 to 1749, 1750. So at that, with a 200% multiplier, he is doing, and then this is 3 times the number of buffs, because every turn he can use his basic and his ultimate about 3 times. So each turn, he's doing 579,000 damage on the first turn, okay? Not crazy. It keeps scaling. And down here, you can see, I did the first 10. In 10 turns, he's doing 18 million a hit, or 18 million a turn. He's doing, let's see, let's go to 10. He's doing 9 million a hit on his basic, and 9.5 million a hit on his ultimate. Or not a hit, I should say. He's doing 29,000 a hit, and he's doing about 9.5 for the whole turn. This is his whole turn. This is the maximum damage for the whole fight. He's already at 18 million, okay? 10 turns in. And it exponentially, as you see the chart, it exponentially grows because he continues to get 11 more buffs each turn, and his res keeps going up, so he keeps his damage keeps going up. So at 82 turns, he clears 1 billion damage by himself. 902 buffs on him. He has 90,000 res in fight, and he's doing 1 billion. He's doing 185,000 a hit. Okay, for over 1 billion damage in 82 turns against Fafnir. Now, the game broke way too early on this for us to verify any of these numbers, but that is what we are here to show you today, because Percival seems to be absolutely broken. I think we might call him Percival the Powerful. After 82 turns and 11 times, 11 buffs around, he is an exponential damage dealing phenomenon. Okay? Let us know what you think. I can't wait to get to Wave 2 to try him again. I had him built with like 400 plus res, and like I said, the game broke, and I just didn't get to see exactly how crazy it was going to get. But I'm excited to hear what you guys do with him as well. So this is what I'm calling your #1 Fafnir damage dealer. Get out of here, Beowulf. We don't care about your 30% increase in damage to bosses. That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. We're coming at you with literally 200% res and maybe 1,000 buffs. Stop that. Good times. All right, folks. This is all for our Fafnir focus as we bring you the biggest damage dealer to ever hit the gatcha gaming space. Will he be too broken to stay this way, or will Fateless find a way to have his kit work in the way it reads? 2 weeks are all that's left until the second Alpha Cabin testing wave, and we have a lot to cover in order to prepare you and to get you ready to maximize your gaming experience. Your OG spent over 130 hours in the game in 7 days dissecting everything so you wouldn't have to take that time. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Be sure to subscribe and like. And thanks for sticking with me through all the math as we uncovered a diamond in the rough. Take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.